Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. Canelo Alvarez, he's got to figure out what he's doing going forward. If he's going to continue in the sport of boxing, I personally think he needs a new trainer. Or bring somebody else on to help the team. Because he can't continue with the game plan that Eddy Reynoso has been putting together for the last how many years. I think it's hurting him. I understand the wear and tear on Canelo, but I also understand that when he fought Terence Crawford, maybe some things Canelo could have done differently that could have given him a really good chance to win. But this single shot power punch delivery system shit that they're doing, it's not getting the job done now. When you take a look at Canelo and Reynoso and Canelo's performances against Mayweather, when you look at the average punches that he threw against Mayweather, between, I say, about 41 when he fought Golovkin in the first fight, about 42 when he fought Golovkin in the second fight, he threw about 43 punches, 44 punches. When he fought Kovalev, it was there about 37 or so. He fought Caleb Smith. He was throwing above 45. Billy Joe Saunders was close to 45. He fought Caleb Plant. He actually got about 47, 48 punches around. On average, when he fought Bivol, it dipped significantly, close to 35 punches around. And when he fought Charlo, he got it back up to above 40. Ryder was above 40. And when he fought Terence Crawford, he just wasn't able. He was able to get off above 35 punches average around. But the issue is the accuracy. Now, when you look at when he fought Mayweather, how many punches he threw, a little bit over 40, but he landed, about 19, 20. He fought Golovkin. He threw about 42 punches around and was landing less than 25. When he fought Golovkin in the second fight, he got a little bit above 25 punches around as far as his accuracy, but he was throwing 45 to 46. With Kovalev, he pretty much landed just about what he threw. But the bottom line is, you see where he comes out with Terence Crawford. And you look at his chart, with the output and accuracy against Crawford, he threw above 35, but he wasn't landing nowhere close. But what it shows you is that with a guy like Canelo Alvarez, man, when you understand these diagrams, his punch output and punch accuracy over the years, it's dipped. So everybody has an opinion on Canelo, on what Canelo should do. But I'm just telling you, in my opinion, Canelo needs to I think he needs to bring out a new trainer. And not everybody's going to agree with me. And I don't believe in knee-jerk reactions. I think what Canelo and Eddy Reynoso have put together, I think is nothing short of amazing. They've been running Canelo like a business, and that's what you're supposed to do. They made money hand over fist, and to be quite frank, if Canelo's going to continue boxing, I think he needs to bring somebody on. I went and I rewatched the fight between he and Terence Crawford a couple times. I know if you listen to Chris Algieri, he'll tell you that nobody wants to watch the fight again. Well, he can speak for himself. I rewatched it, and I really feel Canelo had some opportunities. He had some opportunities but he wasn't able to capitalize on it because they just had him with a game plan that just wasn't going to work with a guy like Crawford. Crawford was turning him. Crawford was pivoting. Crawford was throwing combinations. Crawford was in, out, lateral movement. Terence Crawford did so many different things in there. But it's the one thing that Terence Crawford wasn't doing? He wasn't worrying about too much of what Canelo was going to do. You know why? Because Canelo was very predictable and kept doing the same thing over and over and over, but hoping for different results. And that's it's kind of the definition of insanity. The same thing is with him continuing with Eddy Reynoso and maybe hoping for different results. Again, the definition of insanity. So I think Canelo would have to be a little bit loco if he thinks he's going to go into a rematch with Terence Crawford or go into a fight with Eubank Jr. or Hamza Shiraz or anyone else, now that his aura of invincibility has been shattered, and to think he's going to get in the ring with an Eddy Reynoso game plan and be victorious. I think Crawford reminded people of the blueprint that's necessary to defeat Canelo. Mayweather used it. Actually, Mayweather created it. Erislandy Lara used it. He wasn't successful, but many people felt he won. Austin Trout used it, had a lot of success. Bivol used it, he won. Terence Crawford used it, he won. So what this shows you is that anyone fighting Canelo, if Eddy Reynoso's training him, there is a blueprint to defeating Eddy Reynoso and his strategy. So I just think if we're going to have this discussion, I think we need to start with the obvious. And the reality is, whether you want to hear it or not, and remember, it's just my opinion, Canelo didn't look good against Terence Crawford. Okay? He looked flat-footed. He looked predictable. He didn't have a plan B. He didn't have a plan C. Really didn't even have a plan A. He'll just go out there and kick his ass, basically. And that didn't work out too well for him, did it? But by round 7, round 8, Canelo was fatigued. He was tired, man. His punch output was low. Combinations were rare. And his head movement was nearly non-existent. People wonder why Terence Crawford was just looking so amazing down the stretch. It's because he had the stationary target in front of him. And that's because they didn't feel Terence Crawford could hurt him. They didn't expect Terence Crawford to be in the fight down the stretch. And as a result, Canelo got exposed a whole lot. But see, Crawford didn't just outbox him. He made Canelo look outdated. But we gotta frame this correctly. What he made look outdated was outdated. And that's the game plan of Eddy Reynoso for Canelo to go in there and think he can throw one punch at a time and blast people out of there. It did not work. It hasn't really been working over the last 5 or 6 fights. So for him to come out here and think he was going to work with Terence Crawford, they were sadly mistaken, and that's the problem. Canelo has not evolved, and he's not going to evolve underneath Eddy Reynoso. The most ridiculous shit is watching a guy like Canelo, a straight bull. Canelo gets busy, throwing one punch at a time, hoping timing and power is going to carry him to a victory in the ring with a guy like Crawford. But the thing is this, it can work against B-level opponents or guys who are intimidated by him. But when you're in there with elite technicians who aren't intimidated by Canelo, and a guy like Crawford ain't intimidated by nobody, that formula fails, man. And it failed this past weekend. So I really think the conversation should be kind of around Eddy Reynoso. We know he's been with Canelo since the beginning. Their partnership is historic. Multiple titles across 4 divisions, global superstardom, business empire built on loyalty and trust. But boxing isn't sentimental, man. It really isn't. It's brutal. And if Canelo wants to stay relevant, he may need to bring in a new set of eyes. Now, I think Robert Garcia, but some people are thinking Bozy Ennis, Bomac. Yeah, I don't know. I'll be honest with you. I think he'll probably be more comfortable being with Mexicans. Now, the reason I say that is because culturally, you come in and you're comfortable with the environment, the sense of humor, the language, mannerisms. Those are things when you identify with someone culturally that you have in common. Whether you know them or not, there's certain things you can have in common. And that's not me making it, that's not me just kind of just reaching. No, that's a fact, man. There's certain things you're going to have in common. It doesn't mean you're going to get along, but there's more things you'll have in common. And that gives the foundation of something to build on. But again, I don't think you should necessarily replace them, but supplement them. So a new trainer, maybe something they need to bring on, where he and Reynoso work together. Canelo, to me, he needs to get back to having that head movement he once had. And I think his stamina needs to be improved. And a conditioning coach can push him past his comfort zone. They think they're doing a good job, but obviously it can be better. And I think whoever they bring on as an assistant, he's got to be a strategist. Just like Crawford has, 3, 4, 5 coaches? They're all strategists. They all work together. Because when you have someone like that on the team, they're going to see something that Reynoso might miss. Because right now, Canelo's, his biggest weakness isn't his age. I know he has a lot of wear and tear from wars and sparring, and that stuff matters, you know what I'm saying? But I just think I don't think that's the issue. I think it's more of his stagnation. The fact that he's just there. And Eddy Reynoso is just basically rinse and repeat. This game plan, this blueprint's been working for every fighter, irregardless of their style. So why do we change it? Well, because Canelo's not adapting. He's not evolving. That's dangerous. And even although Canelo won a lot of fights, just imagine how much more dominant he could have been, especially in the last 6 or 7. If he had somebody that maybe sees things through a different lens and can actually articulate that to Reynoso and they get on the same page and they impart that to Canelo. Because I'm just telling you, man, Crawford exposed the shit. Bivol exposed it. And if Canelo fights Crawford again without any change, I think the result is going to be a lot worse. We talked about them stats. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to tell you again, when it comes to stats don't lie. Canelo's output has steadily declined. Against Mayweather in 2013, he averaged 41 punches per round. Against Crawford in 2025, just 36. That's not just low, it's alarming. His accuracy has also dipped. He peaked around 41% against Plant and Billy Joe Saunders, but dropped to 29.3 against Crawford. That's a 12-point drop in efficiency against a fighter who was supposedly smaller and older. That's the visual right there. Scatter diagram. So this isn't something that I'm making up. You know what I mean? I'm putting it out there for you. So again, when you look at this chart shows Canelo's punch output and accuracy across 11 major fights. You'll see the trend. His volume shrinking. His precision is slipping. Against Bivol, he threw just 36 punches per round at 33% accuracy. Against Charlo, 40 punches per round, 38%. Against Crawford, the lowest yet. These aren't anomalies. These are patterns. And if Hood Champion sees them, Eddy Reynoso's got to see it too. If Hood Champion's like, yo, y'all need to do something, Canelo and Reynoso should too. The patterns don't lie, man. What they tell us is Canelo's slowing down and he's stagnant. That his style is becoming easier to read. That his opponents are adjusting faster than he is. And that's dangerous. Because after this fight with Crawford, you better believe anyone he's fighting next, they're going to make the adjustments. And they're going to come in that ring, and Canelo is going to have a nightmare in front of him. Doesn't mean he won't win. Just means he's going to have a nightmare in front of him. So, should Canelo retire? I don't think he should, man. Reinvent? Maybe. Maybe he should reinvent. But, you know, he's 35. He's fought 67 times. And, man, by the time he finishes with Turkey in these last two fights, he'll be a damn billionaire. Probably a billionaire already. The amount of money this guy's made is ridiculous, man. Not millions, hundreds of millions. And with everything else he has going on, I'm pretty sure Canelo's a billionaire. You know, I'm pretty sure. But after he's done with Turkey Al-Sheikh, he for sure will be a billionaire. If he's not. But he has nothing left to prove. He does not. But if he wants to keep fighting, he wants to beat Crawford in a rematch or take someone like David Benavidez, which I for sure don't think he's going to do that now. I just think he needs to reinvent himself. And that could mean new training voices, new conditioning, new strategy. He can't keep relying on Eddy Reynoso and timing and power and throwing one punch, timing, power. That shit ain't the answer no more. He needs volume. He needs angles. He needs to get back to being Canelito, not Canelo. No, he needs to get back to being Canelito. That vicious fighter that was from Guadalajara, Jalisco. He's just become too predictable. It's just the truth, man. Is Canelo a legend? Yeah. But look, he ain't really a threat no more. You know what I'm saying? And I keep saying this, and I'm going to keep saying it. When your aura of invincibility is gone, all of a sudden you find yourself losing. Getting hit more. Getting hurt more. That's because fighters aren't afraid to let their hands go. But I'll say this. If Canelo doesn't make a change, he's going to become a name on somebody else's resume. This shit could be the beginning of the end or the beginning of extending his boxing career. He's got to figure that out. Now, I think, what's his name? I think Robert Garcia will be a good addition. Let me tell you something. Robert Garcia they understand boxing. They understand boxers, boxer punchers, free swingers, brawlers, pressure fighters. They understand defense. They understand the way Canelo fights with the high guard. Everything. One thing's for sure. Any fighter who goes to the Robert Garcia Boxing Academy, who works with Robert Garcia, they get better. Even Anthony Joshua in that second fight with Usyk, Anthony Joshua looked great. And you got to give all the respect in the world to Robert Garcia. So whenever he puts his hands on somebody, he performs some kind of a miracle. And I know he doesn't want to step on toes, but I know Robert Garcia's been talking about it. But I would hope that Eddy Reynoso and Canelo are like, look, they push for that rematch with Crawford. And they bring on somebody. Because let me tell you this, Terence Crawford's team, that's going to just motivate them even more. You mean to tell me now I'm fighting again, I'm going up against Eddy Reynoso and Robert Garcia? Hell, they may bring Abel Sanchez on too. Wouldn't that be some shit if Canelo's like, all right, Crawford has 3, 4, 5 coaches, trainers. I'm going to make sure I have 3, 4, 5. And he brings on Manny Robles, Robert Garcia, Abel Sanchez, and Eddy Reynoso. Talk about headlines buzzing, shit going viral. Talk about the build up to that rematch, knowing Canelo's coming in there full 100% Viva Mexico Cabrones. And then if Bud team, they got Bomac in the squad, and then they're like, oh shit. And somehow they get to bring out like a Floyd Mayweather Senior. He kind of got health issues, but somebody, Antonio Tarver or Buddy McGregor, all of a sudden, the fight ain't just about the fighters anymore. That shit is just as much about the trainers. All of that wealth of knowledge in each camp. But Crawford's team don't need it. Canelo's a team that needs it. Anyway, man, y'all keep cool. Let's see what Canelo does, what Reynoso does. They may feel like, you know what, hey, we're at the end of our career. We haven't broke bread with nobody. We're not going to break bread now. Our wins are our wins. Our losses are our losses. Because, you know, the reality is they can bring somebody else on, give them a little cut of the pie, and lose. So, you know, whatever. But they got to figure it out because Canelo is either going to rematch Crawford and beat him and be immortalized, or rematch Crawford and lose and wear the hat fans are going to put on him as overrated fighter who cherry-picked and finally got exposed. Y'all keep cool. I'm in the breeze.